And we are... I believe we're live. Okay, we're live.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How is everyone doing? How is your Monday night doing? We got a nice anime podcast for you guys. It is Riding Bean and Gunsmith Cats. We were trying to keep the anime podcast current, but so we looked at the shows this season, and I don't know, none of them struck me as particularly interesting. So I went. So I decided we'll cover the new Bean Bandit OVA, but unfortunately, it was delayed until May, and I didn't find that out until the middle of the month. So we watched Riding Bean and Gunsmith Cats in preparation, and we didn't have a brand new shiny OVA to cover. I asked on the anime board on 4chan. That's where I usually get my information. And yeah, a backer of the project said it was delayed until May. He didn't say when in May, but unfortunately, we don't have that for you. But it would be a complete loss for us to just not have a podcast this month, and it would be total chaos to just assign a new anime. So here we are talking to you about a cheesy anime from the 80s and another cheesy anime from the 90s. All right. So let's all introduce ourselves as always. I am Neo Tokyo Tempo. Striker.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is Striker Red coming at you live from my room in some shithole country. It's a shithole country. How's it going?
All right, Dragonkin.
I'm Getsuru, and just enjoying some more classic animes finally, instead of all the new crap that's coming out that's been kind of crap.
Yeah, same.
All right, and Red Baron.
Hey, Red Baron. Just hanging out with these guys, and looking forward to hearing about this. Because I've been reintroduced to this series thanks to these dudes. I came across Gunsmith Cats by accident, so let's do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he hasn't seen all of it as of right now, so he's going to be pretty quiet for this podcast for the most part. But, there's three of us here. We can fill the airtime in lieu. So, I guess we'll jump right into... let's go with the music. Let's start with the music.
Oh, my God.
Josh, what do you think of the music?
All right, so...
Actually, no, wait. Let's just be clear. We're going to talk about Gunsmith Cats first.
Okay, that I was gonna compare them, but Gunsmith Cats probably had one of my favorite albums in an anime in a long time. Like, I found myself listening to the closing theme song and just sitting there just enjoying the jazz. Like, I love that style of jazz, I love that style of music, and hearing that in an anime is so refreshing, and it really drove most of the story. All of these little musical parts throughout the entire show were a lot of the driving force behind wanting to watch more of it.
It's kind of an interesting take, because it seems like it would be kind of out of place, being the 90s and Chicago. You'd maybe expect rap music or something, but it did a very good job at creating a good atmosphere for a fantasy version of the seedy alleyways and underground of Chicago, Illinois.
Man, if I could say something about the music, is that it was absolutely brilliant. The jazz music was spot on. Period correct as well, because this was made in 1993, which was around the same time Lethal Weapon was on its peak, was popular.
Yeah.
And the guy and the man who orchestrated this was a man named Peter Erskine.
And what about him?
Well, usually usually most anime songs are done by a Japanese singer, but in this case they picked a musician from the West, which I found really interesting.
That may be a decent explanation as to why the jazz sounds so authentic. Not that the Japanese can't make authentic jazz sounds. Obviously, Cowboy Bebop is a great example, but it is a good choice picking someone from America to do a genre of music that is very profoundly American.
Oh, who's he's famous for? He was the drummer for the band Weather Report.
Weather Report.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. I know Weather Report.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that band.
Yeah, it was a jazz fusion band from that ran from 1970 to 1986, and currently, they're jazz musicians.
Yeah, that's actually a really good place to pick up.
And the theme song, I really love the theme song. It's
the opening theme. It has first of all the song itself is just this. It's a banger. All right, the opening theme is absolutely awesome, and
really?
And the animations that go with it, showcasing the cars and the guns and the girls, it really gets you pumped for what you're actually going to see in the show. And all the monochrome colors are a very nice aesthetic. There is some flashing lights, but that's very common in retro anime, so if you're like epileptic, I wouldn't recommend I would recommend at least skipping the opening theme. But then again, if you're epileptic, I would not recommend retro anime in general because flashing lights are extremely common.
I used to be epileptic when I was a kid, but nowadays, no, it doesn't really faze me much.
Really?
Well,
Well,
when you're watching,
because then you couldn't watch any.
I was gonna say, Lewis,
No.
you think that's because you got used to it, or because like the anime you've watched so far has just gotten less and less flashy?
No, I actually got it basically cured itself by the time I was a teenager. I mean, this happened when I was a kid, and then when I somewhere around when I was 8 years old or so, I didn't have any seizures at all.
Gotcha. Really quick about the music. You brought up the good point. Like Japanese media, it has good jazz that's not necessarily American. I was gonna say the soundtrack was spot on from like the little that I've been able to watch. It almost reminds me of like some of the stuff that Konami released. I mean, this isn't anime, more like video games, but they were anime style video games from back in the 90s and late 80s, and those used a lot of jazz, but the composers were Japanese. They weren't American. So it kind of just gave me that vibe.
There's a lot of really good and talented musicians in Japan. I do prefer American rock and American jazz, but well, then again, there's not much good American rock and American jazz coming out nowadays. But that's a discussion
Well, in the mainstream,
for a whole nother day.
We don't want to dab on indie or unknown artists. So at least in the mainstream, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very good Japanese bands coming out now, and we're seeing it through anime coming to be some of the bigger things, and the tours that they're putting on, where a lot of the bands are actually now coming to America, is just amazing. But yeah, just at this time period, getting an American jazz writer was definitely more important.
Yeah.
Especially for an American show, to keep it as the other thing I want to bring up about this was it didn't really feel like I was watching an anime. It kind of like it's kind of like those cartoons that look like an anime today, like Avatar: The Last Airbender and so on, where people are like, "Oh, this still should count as an anime, even though it was made in the West." This feels more like a cartoon that was made in the East.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I don't really see it much as an anime, but more like a Japanese take on action flicks from the United States from that era.
It does feel very profoundly Western. It feels like it feels like a lot of the 80s action movies. I don't know, Cobra or something, some sort of buddy cop show or some sort of
I would say
it
something
was
the likes of Tango and Cash or Lethal Weapon or Die Hard.
You just hit the nail on the head. It reminded me of Lethal Weapon with like a tiny dash of maybe Blade Runner, maybe just from the run and gun, and friggin' Escape from New York. If you're familiar with that, Snake Plissken.
Yeah. I guess this is a good time to. I guess we'll transfer into the story, just because we're talking about that right now. What did you guys think about the story?
Well, there is something I learned from this anime: never trust the ATF. No, but seriously, it's pretty straightforward. In the case of Godsmack Cat, Irene Vincent, or Rally, as her nickname shows, is the owner of a gun shop that belonged to her father, who was also a professional shooter. He was a marksman, and she has a friend who her name is Minnie Mae Hopkins, and both of them work in this gun shop, selling weapons to the police or anybody who wants a gun, a good gun at that.
Yeah.
And then in the case of Minnie Mae, she can I say this? Well, let's say that
it depends on what it is.
Let's say that her past is a little.
Well, her past isn't really mentioned in the anime, so it's not particularly relevant.
Yeah, she's more of just an explosion expert, and
she knew about how to work explosions thanks to her boyfriend Kentucky.
Which is he's only mentioned once in passing in the anime.
Yeah. Kentucky Sawa.
There are a lot of story elements that are in Gunsmith Cats that were in the manga that are completely missing from the anime, and that's probably just due to it being only 3 episodes long. But I would say what is there is pretty concise. There's not really any major plot holes or contrivances or anything like that.
It was very short and to the point. I also do want to talk about like some of the small details kept coming up, which was like they would open up the refrigerator and you'd see like C4 sitting in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh my
random
god.
guns everywhere. Like their entire life is just built around. It's like, oh, there's a weapon somewhere in this. Like it's
Yeah.
like you need a weapon. It's definitely hidden, like around every nook and cranny of this house.
But by the way, this time around I watched it subbed. But this is the first time I did so. Did any of you watch it dubbed?
I
No.
watched it dubbed only, actually.
Yeah.
I watched the
What do you think of the dub?
So there were some characters that I did not like the voice actor or actress.
What was it? The ATF guy?
Yeah. Yeah, that
How's it
definitely
going,
one of them.
pussycat?
Yeah, but like the girls were actually really well done.
Yeah.
Mean too, and then a couple of like the side characters were
Yeah.
really off. But like they definitely had hit or miss. I should like. I looked into the one in Riding Bean, like the voice actors, and like none of them are known anymore.
Yeah.
But the one in, like, I was trying to find it in on their wiki, and they didn't really have any listed, so I'd need to relook it up.
I feel like Rally was very well voiced in the dub. Minnie May in the dub was kind of hit or miss. Like she was good for the most part, but then she would have lines with like the exit is over here. And those didn't land. I'd say overall the dub, it is wonderfully cheesy and it matches the mood of the show.
Oh, okay. I'm going through. So I think the one that played Rally retired. It looks like. But she was in a lot of. Wait, no, she's still going. She's still going. But she's doing game stuff.
You mean Michiko Neya?
No.
No. We're talking about the English
the dub,
cast.
the English.
Oh, Amanda
yeah,
Winley.
But yeah, she did like Fire Emblem stuff and Ray from NGE.
She was also a director.
Yeah.
In the case that she also directed the Read or Die OVA, both Evangelion movies in the English versions. Besides being Ray.
Yeah,
the
we're
one that seems to
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
we're burning
we're a
up
little off
time
topic.
here,
Yeah,
let's go to the characters. What'd you guys think of the characters?
Good.
Real talk. Minnie May would probably be the bastard offspring of Michael Bay, because she really loves explosions. She is really energetic. I really liked her.
Yeah. By the way, Minnie May, best girl.
I liked Rally. I don't know. Like
No.
I liked Becky the most.
Oh no.
Dude,
She was just a smart ass.
Dude, you know who played Becky in the anime? Tiffany Grant. The same chick who played Asuka in Evangelion.
She played a lot. She was in recently in the Fate series, so no, she's still very active.
Yeah, I feel like Rally is probably the most developed of all the characters. Like the story is definitely centering around her.
Mm-hmm.
Minnie May is she's sort of like the sidekick. So Rally for the most part is driving the story along. Well, then again, Rally is kind of just a victim of circumstance, I guess. But
Yeah, in her case, she was probably the female version of Murtaugh in the
Yeah.
sense that
I feel like the villain. I like the villain. She wasn't very in depth, but she was very threatening.
you mean
That was another voice actress that I did not like. That fake Russian accent was.
you mean Nastasia
That was
Radimov? That woman is a psycho. Like I'll be honest with you. The fact that she was fast-ass alone was scary. I mean, imagine finding this woman and then she stabs you with that projectile knife, or snaps your neck.
But by the way, since we're mentioning her, we got to talk about the car chase sequence.
Oh fucking hell, man! The scenes.
The Spetsnaz woman, if she was a little bit more different, she would have reminded me of Balalaika from Black Lagoon, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Dude,
but guys, the car chase sequence. All right,
that was one of the highlights of this entire anime. Like, I liked a lot of the gunfights in this one, but like that car, like it definitely played homage to its predecessor, which was Riding Bean, which we'll talk about in a minute. But those were definitely some really cool car chase sequences, and like that is my favorite car of all time. Is the Shelby Cobra. What was that? The 69.
I think that was
the Shelby Cobra. It was a Cobra.
I think it was actually a Shelby GT and not a Cobra.
Okay. I know.
Car guy here.
Yeah.
Can I interject for a minute? It's a 1968 Shelby GT500, which is basically a Ford Mustang on steroids. It has a 428 cubic inch V8. It's known as a Corvette. And well, back in the day, it used to be one of the heavy hitters of the muscle car war.
It still is debatably one of the best.
Dude,
but the animation in that sequence was absolutely incredible. Like the rest of the show, its animation is just kind of average for the time. But then the car chase sequence, the animation in that is mind-boggling even by today's standards.
It's really bad shit, especially considering that Natasha's car was a Mercedes-Benz C124 600 with the B12 engine. That thing could absolutely outrun the Shelby easily. But then, let's be honest here. Rally, when she got passed by her, oh my god, that's when shit got real.
Yeah, you do got to remember that both of them are like dodging traffic on the highway. It's not like the drag strip where the faster car just wins.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rally, or what was I going to say? The car chase sequence it's really a testament to like the workmanship and the craftsmanship of the people who worked on it. Nowadays something like that would almost certainly be done with CGI. But they just hand drew the entire thing. Everything from the cars themselves to the background animation. And the background animation is also really good.
Yeah,
Neil.
Whoever really, really enjoyed, like whoever really got into this project really enjoyed American muscle cars. And it's very self-evident. And they definitely watched a lot of like the American movies back in the 80s where they were doing those driving sequences, and we're like, we need to animate this perfectly. We need to pay homage to what we love. So there definitely is like that like back and forth nerd between the East and the West, and like we're able to nerd out because those cars are so synonymous with like what was really cool about the muscle cars back in the 80s or the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and like
There's-
all those driving movies and such, and for them to recognize the things in America and then them to pay homage and then us to see our own thing in their art, it's such a like cool notion.
Yeah.
Real talk regarding the car scenes. They actually went as far as to actually source a real Shelby GT500, and they raced it on the Will Springs Raceway in California to get the sounds.
Really?
Yeah, they actually, for the car sounds, they had to use an actual GT500. It's even on the credits.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, sound design, like that's the level that people go to. Like, as someone who wanted to go in the sound design, like I know all of the like things that people would go and do just to get the perfect sound.
It is cool to know that they recorded an actual Shelby GT just to make the sound effects for that car sound believable.
Exactly.
All right. So speaking of cars, let's transition into Riding Bean. Now, Riding Bean was an OVA, which is the predecessor to Gunsmith Cats. The Riding Bean manga. It was published in this magazine. I forget which one, but the magazine went under.
Noise.
And because the magazine went under, and the guy who wrote the manga didn't have the rights to it because he sold it to the magazine, that's why he made Gunsmith Cats as a spiritual successor. But it was around long enough to get an OVA in the late 80s. Which is 45 minutes long instead of 3 episodes like Gunsmith Cats is. And it centers around a guy named Bean, probably because the shape of his damn head, who is I guess I'd call him a smuggler. His job is to, whenever there's a crime, is to be the getaway driver.
Yeah, basically
And-
he's basically in the case of Bean, he was the transporter before the transporter was a thing.
The baby driver.
Not just baby driver, but the transporter Jason Statham era.
And he has a girlfriend and partner in crime named Rally Vincent, who
That's
is
right.
a completely different person, personality wise, occupation wise, even racially, and so the only similarity between these two characters are their name, which is what I'm getting at. Oh, and Rally. What was I gonna say? Hold on. Okay. Anyway, Rally basically works as the gunman while Bean drives.
Yeah, Bean is the driver for hire, and then in that case, Rally, at least something transferred from the OVA to Gunsmith Cats, which was the fact that Rally was a total gun nut.
Yeah. Well, in the Gunsmith Cats manga, the character Bean Bandit does exist, and it's literally exactly the same character. But anyway, the OVA starts out with a bank robbery, and they're I think it's a bank anyway, and they're dragging this naked chick around and holding her at gunpoint, and they eventually get away in Bean Bandit's car.
Yeah,
But-
the buff.
But one of them disguises herself as the daughter of a kidnapped businessman, and the daughter was also kidnapped, and uses it to frame Bean Bandit as the guy who kidnapped the daughter, so that they could get away. And this pulls Bean and Rally into the whole conspiracy, and shows about how they untangle it by driving really fast.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Speaking of cars, his car is insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
his car is decked out with armor, bulletproof glass, run flat tires, and
4-wheel steering, 4-wheel drive, a 7.5 liter supercharged V8. It looks like a breed between a Ford RS200 and a Datsun C car. And
it's not just that. The wheels could turn completely sideways and drive like that, so his car could drive sideways.
exactly. And here's a little bit of a comparison. This came up around the 1990s, right? Well, 4-wheel steering was an actual thing, mostly with Japanese and German automobiles. In the case of Mitsubishi, Honda, and Nissan being a few, but nothing, and I mean nothing, compared to the Buff's 4-wheel steering setup.
Real quick, so that level of detail in the vehicles, there's another movie. I mean, it's an anime movie. There's an OVA called Trava Fist Planet. The creators made a sci-fi, and later on, like years later, they made Redline, which is a racing OVA, and similar setup. The main character has a car that they just love this car to death, and it's all detailed. So going back to what you guys are saying, like I'm just digging how detailed all this is. Even though like there's a fictional setup for the tires to drive sideways, the rest of the car is based in fact. Like it's not all fictional.
Yeah, I mean you could definitely. I mean the president's car is like that. A lot of other cars are like that. You could definitely armor up a normal car and have it look completely normal, like
It's not
bulletproof
cheap.
glass and armor plating and stuff like that.
It's not cheap though. I mean,
No.
no. Get about this. In the example of something like a Mercedes-Benz E-Class with bulletproof windows and doors, it will actually run you twice as much as how you got the car originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, yeah, it's a custom
I
setup.
guess. I guess. First of all, we'll handle this just like Gunsmith Cats. What did you guys think of the music?
Oh man, the music was actually pretty great.
I don't know. I don't remember any of the music.
Well, regarding the
I realized
the,
I was
the-
muted. I made a point to make sure that I listened to it again because like I was very underwhelmed by the music, and it kind of had the same feel as Gunsmith Cats, but it definitely wasn't even close. It was just kind of like it was there. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was just it was there. It didn't add anything or remove anything.
Oh damn! I didn't know. Oh, Dagapult is a friend of mine. Shout out to Dagapult, who's been writing in the Twitch chat. Oh man.
Hold on. Link me the stream so I can look at the Twitch chat.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to get people in the chat. Hey, how's it going?
I just
Yeah.
don't read.
Yeah, we
I was
apologize for
paid.
that.
What was it? I was paid to lead, not read. All right. Anyway,
He also saw the read the manga and then
Hello
some,
there,
so-
fam. Whoever's watching, I appreciate it. My apologies, because let me check the chat as well on the other screen.
anyway,
So,
let's continue keeping this
Dog-a-hole.
podcast moving forward instead of stopping
Yes.
for every single person that comments. Anyway, yeah, it definitely wasn't even close to as good as Gunsmith Cats. The music was at best decent, but it was very underwhelming, unforgettable, and the action of this anime and the like ridiculous car and ridiculous like fight scenes really were what drove this one forward.
Yeah, I feel like the characters were kind of secondary to what was actually going on. It's like there's a little bit of characterization with Bean himself. You see him like drinking an entire pot of coffee and like eating like this giant fucking sausage, and like, this is a guy who eats a dozen eggs for breakfast, and
He's extreme.
yeah. And but then there's not much else to him. Like he's he's like really tough, and he's like
Is he like Dante from Devil May Cry?
But I feel like the only reason he's even in the story is circumstance in and of itself, rather than his own motivations.
Would you compare him to Dante from Devil May Cry?
I have no idea.
No,
I've
I mean,
never played Devil May Cry.
No, I mean the anime Devil May Cry. He orders pizza.
I do not want you to ever mention the Devil May Cry in my presence ever again. I do not want to think of a world where where the Devil May Cry anime exists.
There's a Devil May Cry anime? I should definitely not watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I remember, like, the only reason the reason why this even started was he's a like gun for hire, and you have to pay him up front in cash, and that's the only way you'll get it. And then
let's use the
money-
third transporter. All right, Josh.
Yeah, sure. But what? Either way, you hire him, he gets the job done. That's it. And he's good at his job. So, and
yeah.
And it basically is just like, oh, there's $2 million. Go get it. And he's like, okay, I want the money. Like,
yeah.
That's the entire anime. Like,
we got a
entire anime.
We got a question.
Oh, yeah, we got a question. This is a question for you guys. What do you think of Rowley's return to being more of a blonde bombshell in the new Project BB, premiering in a few weeks, as opposed to the half Indian, half English version that we got in Gunsmith Cats?
I mean, as long as the character's interesting. But whatever the audience.
I never really, I never really thought about it that much. I guess it makes sense because this is supposed to be Riding Bean rather than Gunsmith Cats, but I have heard that Minnie-May is in it. But then again, that source is my anime list, so
I've heard nothing about it, and I
So
care
she's
less
going
what the characters look like, but
all right, can I put my 2 cents in this? So I noticed the trailer that she looks more like a redhead than a blonde, and since it's going to be more in tune with the classic Riding Bean rather than Gunsmith Cats.
All right. The guy in the chat confirmed that Minnie-May is going to be in it, which brings up a question: Is this canon to is this more like is this going to be more like Gunsmith Cats or Riding Bean? Because I know Bean Bandit is in both the mangas.
Oh, you're going to a premiere, dude? Damn.
It looks like I'm looking at like the Kickstarter that was launched, and it looks like it's going to be closer to Gunsmith Cats.
That's cool.
Dagapult, I got a question for you. Where are they going to be playing when it comes out? Are they going to play? Is this going to be a limited release in the United States when it actually comes out, or will it be something of a
premiere? Is Aiken?
That's the ASEN convention in Chicago.
Oh, yeah,
it's one of the big. That's
actually really cool. Yeah, it is one of the biggest ones. I have a couple friends.
Yeah, are tickets available to? Are tickets available to anyone who wants to go, or the backers only?
If it's gonna premiere at ASEN, it sounds like it's just gonna be anyone that can make it to ASEN.
Let's see if this guy knows.
But
it's just an event at ASEN. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So basically, if you show up at ASEN, you're gonna end up watching the premiere of Bean Bandit.
Yeah, and that's actually a really cool thing, and like the fact that it takes place in Chicago and it's the Chicago convention, like that's kind of really cool. So
really spot on.
Very thematic.
Yeah, that might be why it got delayed. So can't hate it.
Oh, yeah. I know we're doing. Can we talk a bit about Semmerling? The main villain in Riding Bean.
Oh yeah. I was going to mention this. At first, during the early and middle part of the anime, and really even during the car chase, she seemed very threatening, and she had a very ominous and dangerous aura. Like you always felt like anyone that was near her was in serious danger.
Lewis intimidating the JoJo.
But the moment that she got out of the car and ended up in a fight with Bean, Bean, first of all, is just a giant man, and second of all, he's an extremely overpowered giant man, and she's just this like woman that uses manipulation and intimidation to get
like
what
the average
she wants.
the average person, basically, like the average physique.
So when he is going up against her, she doesn't seem threatening at all by that point. Like she's basically just completely out of her league, and there's no sense of tension whatsoever.
I'll be honest with you. Semmerling was a psycho, but not in the same level as Radimob, or as Dagapult said it. Let me check out the Goldie in terms of psychosis. But Semmerling, she was really abusive towards her little girlfriend, Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah, she was very abusive towards her. That's part of like the emotional manipulation, intimidation I was talking about. You can tell like what they were going for. Someone who is just absolutely disgusting and evil. You would never want to run into this person ever in your entire life, and God help you if you did. But it's not so much of a problem if you're riding Bean. Then you're in absolutely no danger whatsoever.
Dude, the fact that in the car chase scene when she's driving the Scania big rig, man, she's a woman of all trades.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She just shoots the guy driving the big rig. She doesn't give a shit. Just shoots him. Blows his freaking head off.
Oh yeah, and likewise when she drives the BMW 750 IL, which also has a B12. You know, I think I see a theme here. The mere fact that the villains drive high-end B12s Grand Tourer cars from the 90s. In the case of Summerlin, and get a look at this, she was named after a gun of the same name, a gun brand from Germany, Summerlin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Saw you run into those spikes, RJ. You're such a noob.
Dude, this is like Prince of Persia, unrelated to the podcast. I'm playing Dead Cells. It's like if Prince of Persia had no joke, like Dark Souls aesthetics, but it's just non-stop. Just it's like whatchamacallit. It's not just a Metroidvania. It's infinite levels. It just every time you die, random number generator or whatever. I forgot. My brain is blanking out. Anyways, yeah. So, Lewis, I like how you actually like know stuff like that. How like a character is named after a gun brand or a car or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess we've gone for like 30 minutes longer than we wanted to, but I guess we had more to say than we thought we did, which is the
normal thing.
Yeah, we always have more to say than we think we do.
Yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover. Something needs to be brought up. So Noda wanted to be Larry Benson, so people wouldn't know they were hiring a girl. So I don't know who convinced them to change to the rally, but the RNL switch works here, according to Dugapole. So basically, I did find this out a while ago that it was going to be something that was I hate to use that term, but gender neutral, in a sense. Then again, rally is actually this focus.
I forget what it's called, but it's in some languages names are tone deaf. So yeah.
No, and I mean, you also have to remember that we are talking about Japan. They usually go by their last name, and there's a lot of first names that are feminine or masculine that could go both ways. So,
anyway, I was thinking of wrapping this up here.
Yeah, exactly.
First, we'll do closing thoughts on Gunsmith Cats. All right, Skylar. Striker.
You always call... That should be a running joke. You always call him that. Skylar.
Oh, my wife.
This is like the 20th time you've called Striker Skylar.
Wink, wink. It's kind of common. It's kind of common now. All right. No. You did good by helping us out, man. I mean, the fact that you drove an actual GT500 and then some Dugapole, mad respect, dude. All right, regarding Gunsmith Cats, I can honestly say this: it is the epitome of 90s action anime. It is one of the best 90s anime around. This series is literally, and I call this the O and K from Fortune in anime form combined. Literally. Why? Because of the automobiles they have in there. Bad Key drives a BMW 2002 Turbo. Rally drives a GT500, Shelby GT500 that used to belong to the guy who was going after Bean in the in Riding Bean. Yeah, that's the same car.
Yeah.
And then we have the fact that Bean's car is about as Bean's the buff is about as overpowered as the man himself. Damn. Let me say it like this: if you have 2.5 hours to kill, I suggest that you watch Running Bean and then Gunsmith Cats. Oh, one more thing.
We're just doing our thoughts on Gunsmith Cats. Then we're going to do another round on Riding Bean.
No, all right. Regarding Gunsmith Cats, if you have an hour and 30 minutes to kill, do it. Watch this anime. Do it. Come for the guns, stay for the action and the car chases, and also it's a very accurate representation of how corrupt Chicago's government system really is.
Well, we're not getting into politics.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into politics here. But
No. I mean, you guys know by the third episode what's going on.
Yep. He's talking about the structure of the city and the show. But yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll jump in on it. I honestly loved Gunsmith Cats. Like, I thought it was just gonna be kind of a little hokey, but just the fact that I enjoyed the anime and then the music was the standout part to me, where I haven't heard music that good in an anime for a while, in my own opinion, was just. It was stellar. I very much enjoyed the show, and I, like most of America, have been watching Game of Thrones, and the last episode of Game of Thrones was an hour and a half, and this was an hour and a half, and I've been waiting for Game of Thrones for 9 years to wrap up, and I was more entertained by this. So just take that how you want.
I would rather watch. I would rather watch
Gunsmith Cats than that last horrible episode.
I will. Hey, just to add to that real quick, I also have waited, and I'd rather watch Gunsmith Cats from just from what little I've seen. I'd rather watch Gunsmith Cats.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I enjoyed Gunsmith Cats thoroughly. I first watched it in high school. I've watched it several times, and I just watched it again recently for this podcast. And it's a silly show, but it knows it's a silly show, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. There's not much to it, but you don't need much to be entertaining. And yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good show overall. So yeah, if you want to see a cheesy 90s OVA with very little commitment and that's nice and digestible and is fun to watch, I would absolutely recommend Gunsmith Cats.
All right.
So let's go on to Riding Bean. Striker.
There we go. All right. Personally, I see this as a prototype of what could have been, what should have been, and then what ended up being regarding Riding Bean. Oh man, I'll be honest with you. The character alone is a little too OP. That I will say that.
That's a trope, Lewis. That's a trope of the times. But go ahead. I mean, like the unstoppable hero. But go ahead.
But yeah, I really liked Riding Bean because it fuck. Sorry, I need to get my thoughts real quick. All right. Everything about Riding Bean was basically kind of like how it happened, like more like an origin story about how a couple of things happened. Like, for example, how did Rowley get that GT500 of that guy, the chief of the Chicago Police Department,
Gunsmith Cats is not canon to Riding Bean.
Yeah.
I know, but you can see some of the influences. Like you can
There's a lot
tell,
of
you can.
homages, but there isn't like they aren't related.
I know I'm starting a lot, so what I'm gonna say is it's 44 minutes long. Take it as you will. It's about as it's really about as good as Gunsmith Cats. It's ridiculous at times, especially when it comes to that part where Samuel tries to run over Bean. Like she severely underestimated the how should I say this? She has severely underestimated that absolute unit that is Bean. And Rally, oh my god, Rally, she what can I say about Rally that has to be said? She is not only a good psychic, she really knows her shit, especially around guns. Dude, there's a part where she actually shoots a guy point blank in the forehead.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. It's crazy. She's really good at firearms. She's really good at putting up with Bean's shit, especially in the beginning where he couldn't wake up. And you know what's fun? You know what's interesting? The soundtrack was actually done by a foreigner as well. It was David Garfield, who was a famous keyboardist. Hold on. Hold on. David Garfield. Yeah, he worked with people like Eros Ramazzotti, Smokey Robinson, and other jazz players. So yeah, same jazz music influence as well as some funk added to the mix from 1970s exploitation movies. You also have a little bit of fusion in the mix.
You're kind of going on a tangent. This is something you should have said during the review. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah.
What are my final thoughts? Well,
It sounds like you like it. So,
it is. Yeah. Honestly, I like them both. I love them both. I actually watched them simultaneously, like straight up. I watched Riding Bean first, then I watched Gunsmith Cats after that. And honestly, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Go nuts.
Lewis is the car guy. He during the retro review he did Rad Racer and he likes Gran Turismo and stuff. But either way, he's a car dude, and when he likes something that has cars and he praises it this much, means he likes it.
yeah.
All right.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
So, I did not like Riding Bean that much at all. It might have been just because I watched them out of order. I watched Gunsmith Cats first, and then I was expecting Riding Bean to be something better, and it just didn't live up. It's almost disappointing that was the influence of what Gunsmith Cats is. I think Gunsmith Cats, on its own merit, is amazing. And Riding Bean was kind of like that raw, like this is kind of a base idea. But just having a character that's too overpowered just got me completely out of it. Just watching a couple of the plot holes throughout the entire thing. The car chase was the majority of the anime, and that was very enjoyable to watch. But that's about it. I love watching like classic car kind of stuff, but this just didn't do anything for me. I would recommend skipping this and just going to Gunsmith Cats and just watching that, and then getting excited for that OVA whenever they remake it, or however they remake it.
This guy says it's going to be in 2 weeks.
So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I would skip Riding Bean personally.
All right. I guess.
Sorry, I had
Will,
to say
did you
please
already
step
go?
up.
No, I didn't.
All right.
That will go.
So
Sorry.
I guess I'll give my final thoughts on Riding Bean. Riding Bean, it's once again a cheesy retro anime OVA, and much like Gunsmith Cats, you shouldn't like expect an amazing masterpiece of storytelling from it. It's it's popcorn. It's popcorn kind of stuff. So there are some like problems with the story. We've already covered to death like how overpowered Bean is and how it completely removes the tension from the story. But I don't know what I think the fact that it's just not really meant to be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form kind of saves it. You know, if it's not taking itself seriously, then you can cut it some slack. It's just something designed to amuse the viewer rather than engage them with a particularly good story. So I'd say it's not as good as Gunsmith Cats, but it's okay enough. And I'd say watch Gunsmith Cats first, and if you like it and you watch something that's kind of similar, and you want it really bad, then I'd say watch Riding Bean. And you might like it. You also might not, but there's a very distinct possibility that you might, because if you really like Gunsmith Cats, then this will be up your alley. It's also not much of a commitment either, because it's one episode and it's 45 minutes.
I mean, considering that both series are done by the same guy, yeah, I could say it's more of an extension than anything else.
All right, so that was our podcast for Gunsmith Cats and Riding Bean. We did plan on doing the new OVA, but it, of course, has been delayed until this guy from the chat says something like 2 weeks from now. So we'll see about that.
Indeed.
It will. I think we should do a. It wasn't delayed. I heard it was delayed. Whatever. Anyway.
I might want to add that I might have direct feed because Dagapol is a good friend of mine.
Oh, but anyway, I'm trying to wrap this up. Anyway, so we'll probably cover that. We'll probably cover that in a future quickie podcast. We might just have like a couple of us.
We should have like a section.
That.
We should have a section of it the next podcast just to address that, and then have whatever.
That might be a good format. We'll decide on what it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out
in a meeting.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. If you're interested in Gunsmith Cats or Riding Bean, go ahead and check it out. And anyway, this is the Outpost Gaming anime podcast signing out. Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.
Later.
See ya.